Page 2, Summer Moon. Now when I learn a new piece of music, I have a process I go through, and that's the process I use in my videos. So first thing I do is I look it over. I see it's 3 pages long. It's treble and bass clef to start. There's no sharps or flats in the key signature. We're in the key of C major. Make sure you can do the C major scale, and you probably ought to do the A minor scale. I have videos on the scales. You're welcome to go do what I explained in the videos. And the 4/4 time signature. I like to take it one hand at a time and make sure I understand what each hand is doing, and I figure out fingering and everything for the hand. So the right hand, I'm starting here. I assume you can read the music. I don't need to spoon feed you notes. It's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and pretty simple, I think. On measure 8, remember the little numbers above the staff at the beginning of the lines and the little boxes? Those are measure numbers. So you have to find measure 8, and you're up here, 1 and 2 and 3 staff. Then reach out for the 4th finger for measure 9. So 1 and 2 and 3, 1 and 2. Now, going on, they want you to do the 2nd finger. I would prefer not to. So what I'm going to do in measure 9 is I'm going to put thumb on the half note here. Now I'm ready for 2nd finger. Because when I first play a piece, when I'm first learning it, I connect everything. I'll do the phrasing and all that junk later. I want a fingering that works legato or connected, and this is why I do this. Measure 12, you're here. 1, you cross over, and reach up. Oh, triplets, you gotta love the triplets. Measures 13 and 14. Rather than going 1, 2, 3, 4, we have to go 1 and 3 and, or triplet, triplet. So measure 13. 1 and 2 and 3 and 3 and they need to be even. 1 and 2, 3. 1. Yeah. Measure 37. This is page 4. Measure 37. You're here. 1 and 2 and. Go ahead and lift the C up. 1 and 2 and. And they want 2nd finger here. That doesn't work very well, because I want to connect these, and that's a big stretch. So I'm going to use thumb, and I'm just going to come over with 2 and 3 here. I can connect that better. So again, starting with measure 37, it's 1 and 2 and 3. Thumb is there, just use it. And here. Now you got to lift up anyway. You got to come all the way up here. So just lift up and move. Same thing. See, now they're telling you use thumb and 2 and 5. Well, the 2 and 5 is so you're in position to go on. Before I just did it 2 and 3 because I got to lift up and move anyway. So it doesn't matter what finger you use. Just use some fingers. So here it's 5. And then for measure 41, the whole note's tied, and you're doing that. Okay. Left hand, well, we'll start out here. Remember, it's a 4 now. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. You can use 5 or 4, either one for the 3rd measure, whichever. Measure 5, 1 and 2. Okay. You can figure out these chords. Measure 9, I would prefer not to have to do that. It'd be nice to be able to connect them here, except we have some other things coming on and it makes it awkward, like in measure 10. That's awkward here. So we're pretty much stuck with moving each time. You're just going to have to move. The pedal will help it, but I would have preferred to connect it with the fingers. I can't. Oh well. Measure 13. The fingering there and the here. This way you're set up to go on. And measure 15, the squiggly line, I'll come back to that later. Right now, just play them together. And then measure 17. Now you can connect them. I don't like doing 1 2 1 1 2 1 1 2 1. So I probably do a 2 3 2. It's more like a scale fingering. See, here you have to do a measure 19. You need a 3 there because you got to come up here. I was just doing a 3 all the way through. Now, measure 21. They want you here. I don't recommend it. If you can, do a 1 5 3 2. If your head's big enough, just save the thumb for the you cross over one note. Then on the next measure, measure 22, you can do their finger. I do a 3 2 again. I don't like doing the 1 2 1 2 1 2. It's a personal thing, so I do a 3 3 here, and then measure 23 again. Back to the 5 3 2 1 here, and then back to. So you work out a fingering that works for you. But anytime I have a fingering where I'm ending on a black key and the next one is a white key, if I can, I will finger the black keys 5 3 2 and save the thumb for the white key. Can't always do that, but if I can, I will. It's like a measure 30. I would do a 2 on the B flat here. I'll measure 31. Hopefully this rhythm isn't bad for you. It's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so put the hands together. Now when I first put the hands together, I'm going to hesitate all over. I don't care. I just want to know which fingers in the hands are playing at the same time and how they're coordinated. And I'm still connecting everything. So it's here, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2. And 2. Now up here, hold this left hand down. So you get the idea. So I go through and I put the hands together, and then I go back through it a few hundred times and work on the tough spots and get rid of any hesitation so it is a steady beat throughout. And once I can do that, then I add the articulation and the rolled chords and so forth. So we're going to connect these. Lift up, lift up, lift up. Well, you have to lift up as a rest. Measure 8, lift up before. So do that. And the left hand, connect it as best you can. Just connect it all the way. That rolled chord on measure 15 here. Just real quick. It's not rhythmic or nothing. And it depends on the music as to how I interpret it. And people don't agree on how it should be interpreted. You do as your teacher tells you to do. The melodies here, some people will play all 4 of these notes as one chord, as they'll roll it all. Some people will play the top note of the chord with that here. By the way, hold these others down, it's a whole note. Here. Other people, like me, play the bottom note of the roll chord on the beat, so they would play that here. However you interpret it. That there are people who insist the way they do it is the correct way. Go away. Not interested. There isn't a correct way. It's really up to the performer if you get down to it, but different people are simply going to do it differently. Now once I have the articulation in, then I'll think about the dynamics. Well, the dynamics apply to the melody. In this case, it's the right hand. Mezzo piano is moderately soft. Whatever you think sort of soft is. These chords need to be very soft. We want to hear here. Very gentle. very gentle, very sweet. Now when you get to measure 8, you're going to crescendo on the 8th notes. Up to moderately loud, whatever, not loud, just sort of loud. And the left hand's still in the background. And then a measure 12, there at the end of that, you're up to loud. Not too loud, just loud. The left hand's still in the background. Now in measure 16, you come back down. Well, that'll come down by itself. The left hand, you're in the background. It comes softer. Down to moderately loud in the right hand. Soft in the left. And then in measure 21, you're moderately soft, like you were at the beginning. And in measure 24, you go down to soft. Now, and you can read the dynamics. You put in the dynamics. You got to get into it and feel it and get past the mechanics of it. And you start feeling the articulation, and you feel the dynamics, and you feel the natural accents. You feel you got to feel it. A lot of feeling going on here. So that's called interpreting the music. They're telling you a lot as far as articulation and dynamics. They're telling you sort of a guide on how to interpret it. But you got to take it further than that and really put emotion into it. Now they've added pedal, which is okay. It sets the mood. And I always learn a piece without pedal first. I want to make sure the fingers are doing what they need to do, because it's too easy to start just relying on the pedal and getting lazy with the fingers. Bad habit. Learn it without pedal first. And that way when you add the pedal, you can hear the difference. It's going to be overlapping pedal throughout, and it's going to be a bit mushy, but I think that's sort of the atmosphere of the piece. I'm going to push the pedal down right after I play the notes, and each time I change the pedal, I'm changing it with the harmony. I'm changing the pedal after I play the notes, so the pedal overlaps the notes just a little bit. It's called overlap pedal or lag pedaling. Okay. So at the beginning, it's notes first, then pedal. Change it after I play the notes. You get the idea? And it's that way throughout. Now we have to deal with a page turn here. There are different techniques for dealing with page turns, and I'll leave that up to you and whatever. Ideally, you just memorize the piece. Now, if you can't do that, then maybe you at least memorize page 4. That little bit, something. If you can't do that, you get somebody to turn the page for you. Well, if nobody around do that, you got to do it yourself. Then you got to figure out where you got to have time to turn the page. Don't mess up the beat because you got to turn the page. I've heard people performing do that. Will they stop, turn the page, and go on? No. So we have to figure out. Well, if there's no rests around, you got to leave out notes. We don't want to leave out notes. That's the last resort, is leaving out notes. If you have to leave out notes, you can't leave out melody notes. The melody's got to be there. So if we look at this, we see that both hands are constantly busy. So what do? Well, in that case, we have to leave out notes. So it's up to you on which notes you're going to leave out. I suggest maybe you memorize the first measure or 2 on page 4 because it's pretty simple. And so once you start playing page 4 and you play the first chord, then you continue with the right hand and turn the left hand right quick. That's about the only suggestion I would have. It's really up to you on how you want to do it, but don't mess up the beat.